I can't do it.
Okay.
We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Hell yeah. Hello, everyone. If you don't know, you should know. My name is Rick Mullinax, and this is Burn After Reading Live. How are you guys? I see there's some who are watching but are a little too shy to comment. Don't be shy. Don't bite too hard. So, man, I hope you guys are cooling off where you're at. Here in Northeast Ohio, it's a steam bath, and it's been fluctuating from hot to cool, and it's messing with my allergies. The pollen is real high, so if I seem a little out of it, that's why. All right. So, I mean, this live stream, it isn't going to go in necessarily into one particular topic. A little bit of Karen Read, who knows, maybe that'll dominate the conversation. And I don't know how long I'll be on today. Just figured I would just generally talk about some things and see how it goes from the chat. I got to justify this live thing. You look like Joe McHale in the pictures. That's a compliment. That's a compliment. That's not an ugly dude. So thank you. Hey, right back at you. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. So let's talk about some Burn After Reading Live news. Less than a month away, July 17th to be exact, it will be Burn After Reading's 3-year anniversary on YouTube. And, it's been a wild ride. I've accumulated almost 190,000 views since, starting this. And I know that's not exactly earth shattering, but hey, it's not nothing. People pay attention, and I think that's cool despite the number. I do appreciate it. And coming very soon, Big Solves will join me for an upcoming episode. And if you're familiar with the Delphi murders case, then you probably already watched some of his episodes on YouTube. And I think he puts out quality content. And if you've never watched his stuff, go check him out. And speaking of that episode that we're planning, I might have another very well-known guest who will join us. And it's not set in stone, so I don't want to over-deliver, but until I know for sure. But anyways, it doesn't matter. If it happens on that episode, it's going to happen on a future one. And I'm pretty excited about it. And I think a lot of you will too. But I'm excited for Fig, man. I'm excited to talk to him. That's going to be very interesting. So anyways, and also, the Captain Howdy has expressed an interest in collaborating with me. And as soon as he reaches out to me by email, we've talked about it a couple weeks ago, we'll work on the details if he's still interested in that. And I'm also working on an interview with Javier of the Pretend podcast. He goes after con people. And if you know anything about me, that's right up my alley. So I'm looking forward to that one. See if we got anything else here. All right. So let's talk about the Karen Read trial. And I thought we would start with an article from CBS News that goes over the timeline of everything. So I figured we could do that before we we get into our opinions and what we think about things. So let me get that started right now. All right. So I haven't read this yet, so hopefully I won't stumble on it. Now, fair warning, I have not deep dived this case. I think it's important to say that up front. I've been generally I've been paying attention to it in that way, but I'm some of these people, they've been watching every single thing. They know every single detail. I'm not one of them, but and to be honest with you, I do wish this would eventually will end soon. But of course, I want it to end the right way. I don't want the jury to make a hasty decision, or I don't want a few of the people who might be conflicting with the others. I don't want them to feel bullied into just siding with them so that this can all be over. If it has to be a hung jury, so be it. But anyways, I'm babbling. Let's just start off with this. So again, this is from CBSNews.com, and it's the high-profile Karen Read murder trial that got underway on April 16th at Norfolk Superior Court in Dedham, Massachusetts. Read is accused of killing her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe, with her SUV in 2022. Her defense argues that she is the victim of an elaborate cover-up and is being framed by a group of people that includes law enforcement. Here is a look at the timeline of events in the Karen Read investigation and trial. So January 29th, 2022, the night John O'Keefe died. Shortly after midnight, Karen Read, John O'Keefe, and a group of friends went to the Waterfall Bar and Grill in Canton on the night of January 28th, 2022. According to prosecutors, Read consumed several alcoholic beverages. Read drove O'Keefe to the home of Boston police officer Brian Albert. That is where police said people from the bar were meeting back up. 1 a.m. Court documents later reveal that in the weeks before and even in the hours leading up to the night out, text messages between Read and O'Keefe, as well as voicemails, showed a strained relationship. Investigators said that around 1 a.m. on January 29th, Read allegedly left O'Keefe a voicemail that said, "You are a fucking loser. Fuck yourself. And John, I fucking hate you." Between 4 and 5 a.m. at 4:23 a.m., while heavy snow was falling, O'Keefe's niece called Jennifer McCabe, Brian Albert's sister-in-law and a friend of O'Keefe's. She said Read was distraught because O'Keefe had not come home and was not answering his cell phone. According to court documents, McCabe said that she heard Read screaming, "John didn't come home. We had a fight." Around 5 a.m., Read called another woman whose husband I'm sorry, let me say that again. Read called another woman whose husband was friends with O'Keefe. Prosecutors allege that Read said while they searched, "What if he's dead? What if a plow hit him? I don't remember anything from last night. We drank so much I don't remember anything." 5:07 a.m. Read, McCabe, and the third woman went to look for O'Keefe. Prosecutors said Read mentioned to the woman that she had a crack in her taillight and wondered if she could have hit O'Keefe. 5:07 a.m., a surveillance camera at O'Keefe's house shows Read's SUV coming extremely close to O'Keefe's SUV in the driveway. Prosecutors say no taillight pieces were found in the driveway. Read's defense argues that the vehicle did strike SUV, breaking the taillight and providing an explanation for damage to SUV. 6 a.m. Around 6 a.m., Read sees O'Keefe's lying in the snow outside Brian Albert's home. An emergency responder said that while hysterical and inconsolable, Read repeatedly says, "I hit him. I hit him." The defense argues that one of the first responding officers from Canton's police gave false and deceptive testimony to the grand jury that would later indict Read. January 29th, 2022. Prosecutors and defense attorneys agree that at some point the morning O'Keefe was killed, someone Googled HOS, how sick, long to die in cold. The sides disagree on when the search was made. Prosecutors say the search happened at 6:23 a.m. and 6:24 a.m. after O'Keefe's body was found. The defense says a federal forensic expert determined the search was made at 2:27 a.m. before police were alerted that O'Keefe's body had been found. How did John O'Keefe die? Police say they found a broken cocktail glass and pieces of taillight at the scene. A forensic toxicologist estimated that Reed's blood alcohol content, BAC, would have been around 0.13 to 0.29 around 12:45 a.m., more than the legal limit. January 31st, 2022, an autopsy is completed on O'Keefe. Prosecutors said that medical examiner ruled the cause of death was blunt impact injuries to the head and hypothermia. They say the medical examiner did not find any obvious signs of an altercation or a fight. Karen Reed arrested. February 2nd, 2022, Reed appears in Staunton District Court for the first time, pleading not guilty to manslaughter, motor vehicle homicide, and leaving the scene of a motor vehicle collision causing death. June 10th, 2022, a Norfolk County grand jury indicts Karen Reed on charges of second-degree murder, manslaughter while operating under the influence of alcohol, and leaving the scene of personal injury and death. Reed is arraigned on the new charges in O'Keefe's death. She pleaded not guilty in Norfolk Superior Court in Dedham and was held on $100,000 bail. Reed made bail and has been out on release since. Karen Reed's defense claims she was framed. May 3rd, 2023, defense attorneys Alan Jackson and David Yannetti alleged that O'Keefe was involved in a fight inside Brian Albert's home. They claim O'Keefe was beaten and his body was later dumped outside. Jackson and Yannetti focused on wounds to O'Keefe's arms, which they said showed he was attacked by Albert's dog during the fight. "This is not fishing," Jackson said during the May 3rd hearing. "We've got a fish on the hook. We just need the court to help us reel it in." Norfolk Assistant District Attorney Adam Laley argued that O'Keefe never went in the home and added, "There is no evidence that Mr. O'Keefe was beaten and left for dead." May 24th, 2023, during a pretrial hearing, Reed's attorney laid out what they allege to be the cover-up by law enforcement. "Certainly, the Massachusetts State Police is involved. There are people that were in that house that are involved," Jackson said. "Brian Albert is involved. Jennifer McCabe is involved. The rest of the folks that were in the house, there's some level of involvement by every one of them. Every single one of them. We're not going to rest until we get to the bottom of exactly who's behind this cover-up. Not only Karen Reed deserves this, John O'Keefe deserves this, and has deserved this from moment one. And that's why they're not going to rest." Following the dramatic hearing, Reed spoke to reporters for the first time. "We know who did it. We know. And we know who spearheaded this cover-up. You all know," Reed said on the courthouse steps. "I tried to save his life. I tried to save his life at 6 a.m. I was covered in his blood. I was the only one trying to save his life." Courtroom battles over evidence. August 1st, 2023, Judge Beverly, and hopefully I'm saying her last name right, Canoni, denied a prosecution request for gag order in the case. The Norfolk District Attorney's Office had asked for the gag order, saying witnesses were being harassed. Yannetti countered by saying that it was prosecutors who were controlling the narrative. August 25th, 2023, Norfolk County District Attorney Michael Morrissey released a video statement slamming what he described as absolutely baseless harassment of witnesses in the case. "Conspiracy theories are not evidence," Morrissey said. The idea that multiple police departments, EMTs, fire personnel, and the medical examiner and the prosecuting agency are joined in or taken in by a vast conspiracy should be seen for what it is, completely contrary to the evidence and desperate attempt to reassign guilt. Why was Turtle Boy arrested? October 11th, 2023, Aidan Kearney, the blogger who operates the site Turtle Boy News, was arrested on charges of witness intimidation. Related to the Karen Read case, Kearney had been covering the case for months, often recording himself confronting witnesses. His defense attorney told the judge that Kearney was exercising his First Amendment right. Maybe, maybe not, but the guy sounds like an asshole. Anyways, December 26, 2023, a judge revoked Kearney's bail amid new assault and battery charges. Kearney allegedly went to his ex-girlfriend's home, demanded to see her phone, then shoved her during a confrontation. Kearney remained in jail for nearly 2 months, but was later released on personal recognizance. Evidence under scrutiny. February 22nd, 2024. In court filings, prosecutors said they have DNA evidence recovered from a broken taillight that implicates Read in O'Keefe's death. They said the taillight is the same material from Read's SUV and that the DNA matched O'Keefe's. They also said broken taillight material was found on O'Keefe's clothing. March 12th, 2024. Read's defense team said that a federal investigation into the case led to an FBI expert concluding that evidence does not support the theory that O'Keefe died after being hit by an SUV. The damage on the car was inconsistent with having made contact with John O'Keefe's body. In other words, the car didn't hit him, and he wasn't hit by the car, Jackson said. Prosecutors disagreed, accusing Read's attorney of defense by obstruction. I don't know if I'm saying that right, so forgive me. Pardon me. March 13th, 2024. In a brief statement, Massachusetts State Police said that they have opened an internal investigation into a potential violation of department policy by Trooper Michael Proctor, who was the lead investigator in the case. Police did not say what prompted the investigation, but said he remains on full duty. Read's defense attorneys said that the federal investigation showed Proctor hid personal ties to people involved in the case. In a statement, Proctor's attorney, Michael DiStefano, denied any wrongdoing. Trooper Proctor has been fully cooperative in responding to the investigations conducted by the U.S. Attorney's Office and the Massachusetts State Police Internal Affairs Unit, DiStefano said. To be clear, Trooper Proctor remains steadfast in the integrity of the work he performed investigating the death of Mr. John O'Keefe, to the extent that Trooper Proctor's personal text messages are alluded to in court proceedings regarding Miss Read. He respectfully submits that the objective investigative steps he and members of his unit took are in no way undermined by the content of the personal messages. Karen Read murder trial takes center stage. March 26, 2024. Judge Cannoni denied a defense motion to dismiss the case. Cannoni said that she was denying the motion due to extensive evidence supporting the indictments. April 12, 2024. During the final pretrial hearing in the case, Cannoni heard 30 different motions on which she had to rule, listening to arguments from both sides on many of them. Among them was an argument by Read's attorney that they should be able to make a third-party corporate defense during the trial. They say Brian Albert, Colin Albert, and Brian Higgins, all of whom were present at the party John O'Keefe was at the night he died, could have killed O'Keefe. Prosecutor Lally called it a fanciful story but told the judge there's actually no evidence. Jury selection begins. April 16th, 2024. Karen Reed's second-degree murder trial began with jury selection. A total of 4 jurors were added on the first day. April 17th, 2024. Jury selection continued for a second day with 7 more jurors added on the same day. It says third day, but it's showing April 17th, so I don't know if that's a misprint or what's going on. But on a third day of jury selection wrapped without full jury seated, 2 more jurors were added, but one from a previous day was excused, bringing the total number of jurors seated so far to 12. April 24th, 2024, a jury was seated on the 5th day of jury selection over the course more than a week. The trial is scheduled to last 6 to 8 weeks once a jury is seated. Testimony underway. April 29th, 2024, opening statements and testimony got underway with the first witnesses called. John O'Keefe's brother, Paul, and his wife, Erin, were the first 2 on the stand. Canton Police Officer Steve Seraph, I'm sorry again if I'm messing up his last name, also began his testimony. Prosecutors showed video from Seraph's dashboard camera as he arrived on scene. April 30th, 2024, a Canton paramedic who treated John O'Keefe the day he died testified that he heard a woman saying, "I hit him, I hit him." Reed's defense team argued that the man's testimony has changed over time. May 2nd, 2024, 4 paramedics and firefighters testified about what they heard Reed say the morning O'Keefe's body was found. May 6, 2024, jurors heard the 911 calls from the day O'Keefe's body was found. Police who responded to the scene testified as well on the 5th day of testimony. May 7th, several Canton police officers testified about their handling of the crime scene. Among them was Sergeant Michael Link, who Reed's defense team argued had personal connections to the home where John O'Keefe's body was found in 2022. May 10th, 2024, there was a pause in the trial as Judge Cannoni heard arguments about whether Aidan Kearney, who publishes as Turtle Boy for his site, TV Daily News, should be allowed in the courtroom. He is facing charges of witness intimidation involving people in the Reed case. The judge ruled that Kearney must leave the courtroom when certain witnesses take the stand. Also that day, retired Boston police officer Brian Albert took the stand. He owned the home where O'Keefe's body was found. Albert testified that O'Keefe and Reed never entered his home the night of the incident. May 14th, 2024, a woman who was at Brian Albert's Fairview Road home the night O'Keefe died said that she saw a black blob in the lawn as she was leaving. The defense called it a made-up story. May 15th, Allie McCabe, a prosecution witness, broke down in tears on the stand describing harassment in the case. Colin Albert, it is Colin, right? I'm making sure it's not Colin, like Colin Powell, but I'm pretty sure it's Colin. But anyways, who the defense claims could have been involved in a fight that killed O'Keefe, was also called as a witness. May 16th, 2024, Colin Albert finished his testimony with cross-examination that focused on what defense attorneys claim is a history of violent behavior. May 17th, Jennifer McCabe, a key witness in the case, took the stand. She was with Reed the morning O'Keefe's body was found. McCabe testified that Reed asked her to Google how long it would take someone to die in the cold. Defense attorneys argue that the search actually happened before O'Keefe's body was found. Court ended for the day before Reed's attorneys began to examine McCabe. I don't want to go too off track here, but if she's checking that before the body's found, it sounds even worse. versus if she was blackout drunk and she hit O'Keefe and she took off and didn't really realize what was going on because she was out of her mind. That makes it sound a lot worse if she's checking that before the body's found. I don't. Maybe someone else can explain it to me like a baby. Why that makes it any better? But anyways, let me just make sure I'm reading that right. Yeah, defense attorneys argue that the search actually happened before O'Keefe's body was found. So yeah, like if it was afterwards, I mean, it wouldn't be all that odd. I guess the morbid curiosity of trying to figure it out, and I don't know. Anyways, I'm rambling. May 21st, Jennifer McCabe was back on the stand, this time for several hours of contentious cross-examination by Alan Jackson. And again, I don't want to get off track here, but every time you hear Alan Jackson, is anyone thinking of the country singer, or am I out of touch? Anyways, this day marked the first time Kearney's Turtle Boy site has been directly referenced. Jennifer McCabe said defense attorney Alan Jackson had put the information out on social media, but Jackson said that he had not. I'm sorry, Turtle Boy did. And the witness responded earlier in the day. Jennifer McCabe referred to Kearney as some named blogger that I think the defense is very familiar with. May 24th, Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives agent Brian Higgins was on the stand. Prosecutors presented flirty text messages he and Reed shared in the weeks leading up to O'Keefe's death. Defense attorneys have said Higgins is one of three men they claim could have been responsible for killing O'Keefe during a fight. May 28th, Brian Higgins completed his testimony. Other witnesses were called, including O'Keefe's niece and nephew. They testified about a strained relationship between Reed and O'Keefe. June 3rd, testimony focused on broken taillight pieces that were found at the scene of O'Keefe's death. June 5th, several videos were played that prosecutors say show Reed drinking numerous cocktails in the hours before O'Keefe died. They also focused on what they say was a broken taillight in Reed's SUV. June 6, defense attorney Alan Jackson told reporters that Massachusetts State Police Trooper Michael Proctor, who Reed's attorney have tried to show, could have planted evidence to help friends who are witnesses in the case, will take the stand as a witness for the prosecution. There had been uncertainty when and how Proctor would testify, as he is listed on the defense and prosecution's witness list. Proctor is currently under investigation by Massachusetts State Police for his conduct in the case, though the specific reason is not known and he has denied wrongdoing. It is not yet known when Proctor will take the stand. The same day as Jackson's comments, Judge Beverly Cannuni told jurors, "I can safely say that you will get this case for your deliberations sometime in the last week in June." June 10th, 2024, Cannoni heard arguments from both sides without the jury present about the prosecution's motion to exclude testimony from a witness who is expected to testify that scratches on O'Keefe's arm were consistent with injuries from a dog attack. Trooper Proctor also took the stand that day, reading derogatory text messages he sent to friends and colleagues about Reed while investigating the case. June 12th, Proctor completed tense cross-examination and stepped down from the witness stand during his testimony. Proctor was grilled over a text message he sent about Reed saying hopefully she kills herself. That's not good. June 14th, testimony focused on Reed's SUV traveling in reverse the night of O'Keefe's death, as well as the time of when Jennifer McCabe searched on Google how long it would take a person to die in the cold. Also, that was Jennifer McCabe's search on Google, I think. So I may have gotten that confused. I don't know. June 20th, 2024, prosecutors played angry voicemails that Reed left for O'Keefe not long after prosecutors say she hit and killed him. Karen Reed murder trial ends, deliberation begins. June 21st, the prosecution rested its case and defense attorneys began calling witnesses. June 24th, the defense rested its case after calling its final 3 witnesses. June 25th, attorneys presented closing arguments and jurors began deliberating. June 26, 2024, day 2 of juror deliberations ended without a verdict. After about 7 hours, while jurors deliberated, Reed's attorney questioned the verdict slipped, leading to a tense moment with Judge Beverly Cannoni. And that's all. Now, of course, we more that happened with that. We know yesterday, Friday, I believe it was Friday, the jury foreman, I guess, wrote something and it was presented to the judge saying that, there was a exhaustive review. They all can't agree on what happened. And as far as, what side, whether it was leaning towards guilt or innocence or whether it was about second degree murder or manslaughter, and if that was the issue, that I'm not sure of. The judge basically said, well, wasn't that, I should probably say that I am paraphrasing, but basically, hey, you've also had some shortened days with these deliberations. They weren't full deliberations. Have some lunch, clear your head, and try again. And still, they have not come to a decision. And there is, discussion whether or not, whether this should be a hung jury. All right, let me see. Is there anything here? Let's see what we got. All right. Off topic from what we're talking about. Yeah. Pretend that that's what I'm definitely referring to, and that is a great podcast. Can you have a future interview with author William Ramsey about his books on the West Memphis Three, Hollywood celebrities, and Aleister Crowley's influence on society, politics, and the 9/11 event? Maybe. I wouldn't mind talking to him. Yeah, so it might end in a hung jury, in my humble opinion, and I think it's possible. And like I said, uh, you know, I remember as this was going on, and for myself, selfishly wanting just this whole thing to be over, so we could stop with the mania that has transpired because of this. Um, the more I thought about that, and the more that each day ended with no decision. After a while, I felt bad about it because I'm like, look, this is they got this person's life in their hands, and you can't fuck around with that. And so, if they really can't agree with each other, and they can't come with everyone agreeing that yes, she is either guilty in second degree murder or manslaughter, they can't agree with that, you know, or even her innocence, any of these, that may be, who knows? It could be a whole cluster of those who believe that she was guilty of second degree murder, some that believes it's just manslaughter, and then some that say no, she's innocent. It could be that clustered. I don't know. Um, but if they can't come to a full agreement, then it's got to be a hung jury. And I do agree. Criminal profiler Pat Brown, she had a live stream yesterday, talking about that and talking about how the jury, they can't be strong armed or they can't be bullied in, let's say, those who may still be on the fence about something or might believe whatever the issue is, whether say it's two that believe in her guilt or two that believe in her innocence, and that's the holdup. Again, I don't know exactly what the problem is, other than that there's not full agreement. They should not be bullied into a decision. They need to, if they can't agree, hung jury, let's start the process over. Yes, that sucks. I agree with that. But it's better to do that than to come to a wrong decision, even if that's guilt or innocence. And, she's found innocent and she shouldn't be, or she's found guilty and she shouldn't be. No, you can't do it. Let's see what we got here. Give me 1 second, everyone. I'm just basically cleaning house here. All right. I believe she was driving blind drunk. I don't know if they proved it. Well, I mean, we know they were drinking a lot. I think that's fair, right? I think we can agree with that. I don't know if anyone's really disagreeing with it. Right. So for anyone who wants to, what do you all think? I mean, I'm curious to hear both sides and not just one, because honestly, I mean, I've mostly shunned away from the trial coverage. I really have, but it keeps finding, a way to get right in my face. So, I figured, why not engage a little bit? Like, what are your feelings and predictions? Anyone who wants to comment, is Karen guilty of murder or manslaughter? Is she innocent? Was she framed in a conspiracy cover up? And what do you think about the jury not being able to agree? I'm curious to see if anyone has anything to say regarding that. We don't got a lot of people in, and that's all right. We got about 13. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that to me. I do appreciate it. Yeah, that was the first time reading all of that, and so it was that was me just trying to kind of getting it together. Related. Lisa, I believe some is, but mostly on Spotify, Apple, Patreon. The current season on LaDonna Humphrey is really interesting, and that's what really got my attention, Betty. The LaDonna Humphrey thing, because it's related to something else that a case or a missing persons case that I'm really interested in. Yeah, if anyone, it's weird because it wasn't showing up on my cell phone, but it was showing up when I actually put it on my laptop. I posted, what you guys thought of, guilty of second degree murder, guilty of manslaughter, or innocent of both charges. I was curious if that actually did pop up. Let me see if I can go in there. Not messing anything up. Because yeah, man, is anyone like? Does anyone have issues with YouTube on their cell phone, or is it just me? I'm curious. All right. So we got some people who did vote here. So, wow. We got some people here, 61% who believe innocent of both charges. And we got 26% guilty of manslaughter, 11% guilty of second-degree murder. And on my community page, I also posted a poll a couple days ago. And, again, I think that's really interesting. On the surface, I do agree with that. The cover up does seem a little too elaborate, and I can see why you don't believe in it at all. But again, I haven't deep dived this. I I've just been casually following it. Don't have every single fact. I don't know every single thing. But I will say this, man, the tribalism is really something. Whether you believe in innocence or guilt, for example, the Karen Reed supporters, they are very, very, what's the word? I don't know if ferocious would be the right word. Um, I guess passionate to some degree would be, but like I believe I read where like the defense attorneys came out and all these supporters are just like surrounding them like this is like a fucking rock concert. That's a little weird to me, personally. And now you got the Karen Reed, those who believe that she's guilty. Now they're coming out in droves, and so now, and look, I completely support the right to peacefully assemble, and as long as they do, I don't give a shit if they're yelling at each other, calling each other names or whatever. As long as there's no physicality, it shouldn't be an issue. But I don't. It really seems I guess you could say it's tribalism generally. If we want to be a little more particular, we want to say that it's like a sports rivalry, and you have two fans of their team who are going at it, or perhaps with the election season, you have the Republicans and Democrats supporting their candidate, and they're going at it, and that's what this seems like to me. And I personally, I don't know, it's too tribalistic. I'm interested in the truth coming out, the right verdict. I want, justice as far as if Karen Reed is guilty, be it of second degree murder or manslaughter, then it is imperative that she is convicted. But if she is not, then I mean, we need to make sure that an innocent person doesn't go to jail or prison. And if there was a police cover up, which I'll be honest, I don't think that's the case, but just for the sake of argument, if that is the case, that needs to be heavily investigated and see if there's any true weight to that. But of course, if Karen Reed, she's found innocent, she goes away, and then all of a sudden we never hear from it again, I think we can kind of we could chalk it up to bullshit. The same way we could chalk it up in the O.J. Simpson case, where they were alluding to, the police, trying to make O.J. look guilty, planting evidence, all that bullshit. I mean, you still got people that believe that, but I don't. Bad storms in some areas, very high winds. Sometimes have YouTube issues on cell phone. Yeah, now as a content creator, where some of my issues come in is if I get new replies. Now, usually I will hold comments because you have people who will try to dox and do all sorts of crazy shit. So I'll hold comments. So when I approve them, the new ones always show up on my cell phone, no problem. But 50% of the time, the replies don't. So I have to go to my laptop to look and then approve them, as long as they're worthy of approval. I believe she did it. I don't know if there was intention, because I didn't hear any evidence that they weren't getting along. And to be fair, I didn't listen to the whole trial. Yeah, like out of the second degree murder or manslaughter, I mean, I could see where manslaughter is the safest charge. They're basically tailgating at the courthouse. It's disturbing. A man died, and they seem to totally disregard that. Yeah, and that seems to be a real issue in true crime, is that we look at these people as characters. We don't see these people as real people. And there is a very real loss, and there is a family and friends who are grieving this man's loss, and it's treated like it's entertainment. And that's where I always bring up the sports mentality and the rivalries. It's like it's almost like a game. And you know, regardless of innocence or guilt, this is a very somber thing. This isn't, you know, it's not a time to go, aha, we were right, you were wrong, fuck you. It's not a time for that. Yeah, I'll be honest again, I don't want to be a hypocrite, but or contradictory, really. But I am surprised of the overwhelming support, because I do have a hard time believing in the conspiracy aspect that they're pushing so heavily. It's, and I think you need that to make it work, to make her look innocent, because without it, it's hard to say no, she's not guilty of manslaughter. Yeah, I hope you're safe. Seems like just going to get some hail and 80-mile winds. They say, but Pennsylvania is bad. Yeah, I'm Ohio, neighboring state. We got some thunderstorms here, made things really muggy. There was a little bit of wind, but nothing too crazy. Not only that, I've heard about them harassing the O'Keefe family. These people are sick. Yeah, that is sick. If that's true, that is absolutely disgusting. My sister in ethics, Cold Truth. How are you? Uh, just so you know, Mel, so I basically went through the timeline through CBS.com about the Karen Reed trial. Things leading up to the trial, during, the trial itself, and what happened after. So you missed that, and basically I'm just, you know, commenting and shooting the shit with people. I watched the entire trial. I've become addicted to this case. It's fascinating. And I understand being interested, like something that catches your attention. I think we all kind of will have that with something. I never we got to be careful not to make it our entertainment. I kind of look at it like, I don't look at history as entertainment, but I find it interesting. But there's that fine line, if that makes sense, because we still have to realize these are real people. Violet, I would like to know the split of people that really believe she did not do it, or that they weren't able to prove guilt. No one seems to care about DUI. Karen could show some level of concern. Now, is it me? And if anyone can correct me on this, that would be great. Because again, I've made it very clear I've only been casually paying attention, but it does seem like she's been pretty remorseless. Is that fair? Regardless if you find that she's innocent or guilty, she seems pretty remorseless. I believe someone told me that she told like a family member that she has to think of the bad times that she had with him to help get over it. That's a pretty fucking crazy thing to say. Look at this smell. You're loved. You're beloved. Watch every minute. I can't say there is a conspiracy, but a lot of physics engineer PhD testified how it was physically impossible. The injuries came from a car. I see reasonable doubt without it. All right, reasonable doubt. I can respect that. I will say with these constructionists and all these other people and the way they want to interpret things, you can line up like 10 people and you'll get different stories. You know, and so it's up to the jury to weigh that evidence if they can. If they hopefully they can, and they can be as knowledgeable about it as they can. But keep in mind these are just it's Pat Brown always says, you know, these are 12 people we're getting from the bus stop, and they come from all circles of life, you know. So these are the people who are deciding. But I ask people, well, what's an alternative? What's an alternative to the jury selection we have now? Now, Pat Brown believes professional jurors, but I don't. I think on its premise that sounds like a great idea. People who understand the expertise so they can truly weigh in on that to know if it's bullshit or not. But that's a lot of people to put into a courtroom in all 50 states. I would just like to know how that would really work. And I don't think it's something that we're ever going to do. So it sounds great in theory and stuff. I don't know in practice if that would actually work. I am great piecing some things together while I listen. Why? Look, Mel, I always appreciate you. Thank you. I thought you did have William Ramsey on. That would definitely be a good interview. His work on the West Memphis Three is excellent. I like William, and what you probably remember, Violet, is that I've done some collective interviews with Roberta Glass as the host on the Roberta Glass True Crime Report, and she's had me on with William Ramsey and with Lisa O'Brien. I know she did a Patreon with that. And I believe there was another one that we did. And then there was one where she separated the interviews where like she had William Ramsey talk about Damien Eccles. She had, I believe, Jennifer Carson or Carlson talk about Jesse Miskelly, and then Roberta had me talk about Jason Baldwin. So that might be where you may have seen that, but it wasn't on Burn After Reading Live. But I actually would like to have William Ramsey on. That's something, maybe I'll talk to him. True crime has replaced what was once the popular soap operas for unemployment housewives. Mo? Yeah. It's true. It's true. I have been listening to Rex videos. Not familiar with them, or are you talking about the Long Island killer stuff, or are you talking about some content creator named Rex? I just think of the Long Island killer, serial killer. If it wasn't for the YouTubers who took this case on with the intentions of harassing witnesses, family members, etc., and forming a conspiracy theory, it would have been a slam dunk. I can see that. And I'll tell you, I'm kind of disappointed in the Glairer. I don't know if any of you are familiar with who he is, but I know he met with Turtle Boy. He's very pro Karen Reed, as far as I understand it. And I don't know if any of you remember the Kylie Rodney. I don't know if you want to call it a case, but she had the disappearance, and then she was found in her vehicle turned upside down in that reservoir. And then you had that popular independent musician Ryan Upchurch. He made a lot of false statements about a sex trafficking ring, and then claiming that Kylie Rodney wasn't real. And then he was accusing podcasters or YouTube content creators, like there was one known as, is it Ictmail or Ickidmail? There was him. He was having beefs with the Glare too, and it seemed like the Glare, he was on the right side of things. And now it seems like the Karen Reed thing. I think he's beefing with Ickidmail now. He used to be good with Hills in the Air, who, by the way, passed away a couple months ago, and may she rest in peace. I don't know about him anymore. I don't get his whole Kylie Rod or his Karen Reed thing. It's one thing to believe maybe someone may not have done something, or maybe there's reasonable doubt, but it seems like he's so far on the one side, and he makes fun of these people um, who believe that she's guilty, and he's very insulting. And I'm not saying that I'm above that. I've done it myself. I mean, I said that talked about Bob Ruff and his midlife crisis jacket, so I can make comments too. But it just seems like it's almost. I think it kind of goes beyond that. But that's maybe I'm biased. With remorse, if she said how sorry she was, then it would be she's sorry she did it. I don't have remorse for crimes I didn't commit 2 years ago. But here's the thing. I mean, regardless of the problems, you would think that there would be some remorse of how things ended and how things may have been different if you didn't leave him there, even if she was innocent, and say the conspiracy theory was right. He was beat up in that house and he was left outside to die. And I know that if it were a situation similar, I got into a fight with a girlfriend, or say I was done with her, like, fuck you, get out, go enjoy the party, I'm leaving. And I leave, and the next day, like, there's just no word of where she's at. I have no idea. We've argued. We're most likely broken up. It's over, but I'm still concerned because she's nowhere to be found. There's still that concern because there's a history there. And then you find out, oh my God, she's dead. She's lying on the ground at the person's house. Was it the driveway or wherever, with snow, blunt force, and hypothermia? I would feel bad about that. There'd be some remorse on that. She very well may be. If I vote her for trying to off herself after blaming herself, leaving him there. That came out in the trial. She was screaming what she could have done at the scene. Yeah, you know what? That's right. There was that. So I guess if you think about it, the remorse did happen. But it's still weird now how she acts about it. I don't know. But maybe you start to kind of become numb. I don't know. Karen Reed's a celebrity now. Big ass Johnny Depp laughing out loud. The mob dresses in pink and chants, "We love you, Karen. We love you, Karen." They are brainwashed. Have you heard the insults and the boos of the O'Keefes? Personally, no, but I do believe it has happened. And I do believe it's weird that you love someone that you've never met. It's one thing to support someone you've never met. It's one thing if you believe that the trial is a sham, if you do believe it's a conspiracy. If you believe in those things, that's fine. But again, that's fanatical to me to have that kind of support. To say, we love you. We love you. Don't fucking know her. It's possible that two things can be true. She could be both innocent and she could be a complete selfish bitch who is toxic. That's possible. So we got to be careful. You might, if you would have known her in any other circumstances, you may not like her. Or maybe you would. I don't know. It's just weird. I just don't know how you say you love someone without knowing who they really are. I'm not a she's innocent for sure, by the way, but just believe in reasonable doubt, and I don't believe in harassing witnesses at all. And that's completely fair, Amy. I think I respect that. And if that's the way you're coming from it, then, God bless you. I support, look, I mean, we're just civilians trying to make sense of it. We're not all experts here. So I cannot bash someone for having an opinion or a viewpoint. Lisa, I believe they will. I don't believe they'll let that go. If it's a hung jury, I think they'll start all over again. I believe that happened in the Adnan Syed trial in Maryland, if I'm not mistaken. Our government has to prove it, and I don't think they did. Either they can't prove it or they tried too early. And yeah, the state has the burden of proof to show that she is guilty. That's absolutely true. Um, so Amy, like you don't even think manslaughter? You don't think they've even proved that? Um, I think that's most likely, but again, I'm not the jury, or I'm not a juror who heard everything. So yeah, regardless of what you think about Karen Read's innocent or guilt, her supporters, they are like a cold. I'm sorry. If there's anything we could take away from this, I think that's it. I would be surprised if they didn't retry her. I don't think they're going to let that go. It looks bad if they let that go. I don't think they proved he got hit with a car. They spent too much time trying to disprove conspiracy. All right. And Amy, let me ask you this. Regardless of what they prove in court, and I'm only asking for your opinion, I'm not asking you to swear on a Bible. I'm not asking you to, you know, die on this hill, so to speak. Do you think that she did it, but they just can't prove it one way or the other, whether it's second degree murder or manslaughter? I'm curious what you think. And I know it's okay to have the answer, I don't know. But if you had to lean towards one or the other, what do you think? I'm just, conversation. Well said. Her supporters are lunatics. I'm sorry, it's hard to argue. But I mean, these people who are coming out on look, I get, free speech. I'm not saying that no one should, look, I support that. I just don't understand why now. I think it could get kind of ugly to have the Karen Read supporters versus those who believe in her guilt, and having that kind of crowd and making a circus out of it. I just don't think it does any good for the trial itself or the deliberations or anything. I don't. I'm not sure what could have caused his injuries besides being hit by a car. I truly have no idea. The opening statements and the closing by the CW, they even changed the timeline because their own witnesses gave testimony that contradicted when they said it happened. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I can't argue dispute that because I don't I don't have all the information to it. Just casual conversation. So I respect that. So let's move on real quick. Let's talk about something West Memphis 3 related briefly. I wanted to recommend the True Crime Garage podcast. Not like they need my recommendation, I think they're doing pretty good on their own. But they in May they released a two-part West Memphis 3 discussion that I just watched it today and I found it very interesting. They've covered the case back in 2016, and they have other episodes going into various topics of it. They even have an interview with Dan Stidham, Jesse's lawyer at trial. But anyways, in the two-part episode, a few things in particular really stood out to me because it was related to me. The captain used one of my analogies in part one, which I thought was pretty cool, and it kind of hit me because I wasn't expecting it, and I was honored and proud that he found it to be meaningful enough to share it. And he also referred to Burn After Reading along with Gary Meese, Lisa O'Brien, Roberta Glass, and William Ramsey in part two of that. And he said we had valid points and considered some of us experts. He didn't name which ones. I'm okay if he doesn't consider me one. I would have no problem with that. But he recommended people to look at our side of it. And I thought, man, that was really cool. That was a cool thing to do. And the captain still isn't sure what happened, and that's okay. I respect that. Um, I I believe that the West Memphis Three are guilty based on the evidence, but I respect his brother Nick too. I respect what he thinks about it. I disagree wholeheartedly, but I respect it. So if the captain is listening, and even Nick too, I want to thank him, but I want to thank the captain for his part in that. I pride myself on the content I've done on the West Memphis 3 case. I goofed on a few things here and there, but it pales in comparison to what the West Memphis 3 supporters have put out there. And I put forth solid work, and people are taking notice, and that's what I'm proud of. It goes without saying that I or anyone cannot undo or bring back Michael Moore, Stevie Branch, or Christopher Byers, but I can honor them by fighting dishonest narratives, which have given the false illusion that Damian Eccles, Jason Baldwin, and Jesse Miskelly are innocent men and are victims themselves. My West Memphis 3 guilty video has over 24,000 views, and it's climbing. I have others, talking about the West Memphis 3 that range from 14,000 to 1,000. And I don't do it for profit. I don't make money off this. I have noticed, though, that YouTube will play ads for some of those, but I swear to all of you on my mother's life, I'm not monetizing this. And so I Googled that, and I'm like, can YouTube put ads in your videos when you're not monetizing? And yes, they can. I do this because it needs to be out there. And to those who are pissed off by it, get used to me because I'm not going anywhere. No more debates, though, I assume. I don't know. That last one left me I think if I were to do one, I would make sure that everything gets recorded first so that no one can back out of it. I still respect my debate partner. I know a lot of people didn't, and they said some pretty rough things, and hey, that comes with the territory. I have shit said about me all the time. So, I got people who make sock puppet accounts on X or on YouTube itself, and they say some horrific things about me. I don't cry about it, and I just think that she needed thicker skin. And she made statements that she got threatening emails, and I can't say that did or didn't happen. But I don't believe it came from my supporters or my viewers. I think someone was messing with her, and I think it's some of those people, those sock puppet accounts, if it even happened at all. I can't take anything you say seriously being an Aaron Larkin supporter. I can't take anyone seriously who calls himself Mr. Pickles. So get fucked. I support Aaron Larkin. Sorry, people don't like it. So sad. Too bad. I stand by the people I stand by. And there's a lot of people who spout out misinformation. Yeah, but you know what? Google, YouTube, they own it. They can do what they want. They can remove videos just because they want to. Violet Witch was a great show. Thank you. You know, I don't need to write a book. If anyone wants to read a book about it, Gary Meese, I would suggest buying his books. I don't need to write one. I think he really did a great job. I think my talents lie here. Yeah, believe it or not, Amy, if people come respectfully, you know, I don't bite, we can have that discussion. I tried to have that with my debate partner in the West Memphis 3 case. And I think when we actually talked, we actually did really well. But it was outside the factors that got her upset. Um, and I can't legislate everyone's behavior of whether they like her or not. But no, like I'm pretty good. If people are respectful, I'm respectful. Yeah. Yeah. You know, I don't want to shit on I don't how do I say this? I don't want to shit all over the glare. You know, when the Kylie Rodney thing was going on, he was actually pretty cool with me, but just because of that, I don't have blind loyalty. I've heard some things. I'm not going to discuss them here because I don't know all the facts with them, but they were actually kind of disturbing. And then I did not like how he went after Heels in the Air, who's now passed. He didn't do that why she was passed, but it was going on, and I thought he said some pretty disgusting things to her that I can't jive with. And then you know the Karen Reed thing, apparently with Icken Mail, apparently there's something going on there. Um, so I don't know. And again, it's just sad because a lot of us, we had a united front, and now it's not there. It's just sad. Yeah, it's like, what happened to this guy? I don't know. Maybe I just never knew the glare. Maybe that's what I only knew the subsurface level with some of the stuff, and I don't get it. You have a great podcast voice. Your summary of the case is like listening to a book on tape, and it makes for fantastic listening while driving or working. Thank you for making it. I appreciate that. Um, it's weird because there are people who will say a lot of very complimentary things about my voice. I personally think it sucks. Sometimes I stammer, a lot. Sometimes if I don't have something in front of me, whether it's bullet points or whether it's something that I wrote up, it can be difficult for me to keep concentration. And even sometimes when I do read something, I probably goofed a little bit as I was reading the Karen Reed timeline. But maybe everyone's their own worst critic too. So, but I do appreciate that, AP. Thank you. By the way, did anyone catch the my last live that I did with Cold Truth? That was pretty wild. If you haven't seen that or watched it, wild. All right, let me see if there's been anything else with the poll here. Let's see. So, all right. So as it stands now, innocent of both charges, it still leads 52%. Guilty of manslaughter, 27%. Guilty of second-degree murder, 21%. Very interesting. 33 votes, not a lot, but it's interesting to hear what people think or see what they think. All right. So again, before I leave here, I've been on for an hour and 16 minutes. I think the conversation has reached its zenith. Look out for that true crime conversation with Big Solves. That'll be coming out soon. We're going to be recording sometime next week, and I'm more than likely going to put it out sometime after 4th of July. You know, everyone's going to have their plans, and probably no one's going to be on YouTube wanting to watch that stuff. So I figured after 4th of July, put it out there so more eyes can hopefully see it. Lisa O'Brien says that Arkansas does not have a wrongful conviction statute, so even if the West Memphis Three had been exonerated, which they were not, they could not have a lawsuit. Well, and even if they did, that say like if they were going to sue for $300 million, they're most likely not going to get all that, even if it were true. You know, they might get a fraction of that. Pretty wild. Yeah, it was wild, wasn't it, Cold? Like that was nuts. And I kind of feel like the people who decided to piss and moan, I kind of think they showed their ass, in my opinion. You know, not to be mean. I know I'm probably going to be looked at as a bully. Numb is one thing, but smirking and even laughing at the judge is another. After a day of viewing autopsy photos, she said today was a great day. Yeah, I would just think you'd be a little pointed in what you say. But again, I don't walk a mile in her shoes. Yeah, you know, or her high heels would probably fucking kill me. But yeah, it's weird. On the outside looking in, it's weird. You shouldn't do those things. But again, when you got to sit there and be there all day, and you know, do you lose a little bit of your ambition? I don't know. I don't believe I would react that way. You know, I think I think I would just probably be haggard and tired. And you know, the camera's going to catch whatever you do. All right, everyone. If there's nothing left to be said, I am going to let you go. Again, the poll ends of if Karen Read guilty or innocent of the death, or is Karen Read guilty or innocent of the death of John O'Keefe? Again, innocent of both charges, 52%, guilty of manslaughter, 27%, guilty of second-degree murder, 21%. So that's going to be the end of the poll. I want to thank, you know, who decided to show up. Thank you. I do appreciate it. I know these lives always seem to kind of be last second, except for maybe a few. So I appreciate you checking it out. And with that said, I'm Rick Mullinax. This is Burn After Reading. Get used to me, but I'll catch your ass down the road. Have a good one.